Make sure to be a member on the channel, link is in the description. Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. So let's thank our members, Silami, Astropub, Patrick Vronovski, Lafoche and Vivi. Thank you for helping us. It helps a lot, you have no idea. Make sure to subscribe and be a member if you want to help the channel. And let's get into it. So today we are going to talk about the MiG-29, a very scary opponent for the F-14 and one aircraft that we probably will see very soon if the MiG-25 or something like that isn't added. And to be honest, I really don't know what Gaijin will do, but MiG-29 is probably coming, I would say at the max until the end of the year probably. So yeah, but let's get into it. So we have a lot of variants of it, and what variants of it has, what radars it used, what weapons it used. There's a lot of misconceptions about it, and yeah, let's just debunk some myths about the MiG-29. Obviously, there's all the good stuff that we already know about the aircraft. It's very good at dogfights, very capable aircraft. In general, it's just amazing, you know. It's going to stomp everything. If to be honest, I think it will stomp even the F-14, and I don't think that we should receive the MiG-29 at least until we receive together an F-16 or something like that, because it's way superior in a dogfight and stuff like that. You know, I'm not gonna get into it too much. Let's talk about its weapons first. Obviously, we can use the R60s, R60Ms, the R27, R27ER, R77, R73, R73M, and all those variants of. But we're not going to get too much into the future. The missiles that we should receive first of all would be the R60, R60M, probably the R60M, but still R60. And the R27. What is the R27? Well, basically it's a development of the R24. Very capable missile, 60 kilometers of max range. He has the R version and the T version as well, together like the R24. So one radar version and one IR version. The range, as I said, it's 60 kilometers with the radar version, 50 kilometers with the IR version. Obviously, we have the R-77 missiles like that in the later variants, even the R-27ER, which has a 92 kilometer of range. But we are not going to talk about too much on it. So just remember the main weapons are the R-60 and the R-27. In the future, we shall receive, as I said, the R-77. Active missile similar to the M120A, together with R27ERs, R73Ms, better versions of the R77 like the Dash 1 and the M. So we don't know. This would be too far in the future to me to predict or something like that. So let's just talk about the normal missiles. R60M, we already talked about it. I mean, we already know and love. We already have in game. R27, and obviously, as I said, the R73, which is a development of the R60. First missile of the Russians to have IRCCM. So we would be very capable if this feature is added to missiles like the Magic 2 that is already added, to the M9M that is not added yet, and the R73 as well. So it is the ability to just ignore flares. There's similar feature in Iglas and Stingers on the helicopters or AA systems, but it is kind of OP in there, so we're not gonna talk too much about it. So yeah, R73 would be 40 to 50 Gs, you know, 60 degrees of tracking, and yeah, it's just dogfighting, thrust vectoring god, you know, so it is probably too OP for now, so I think we will receive just the R60M and the R27s. So, but in what variants? Of course, we have the MiG-29, very capable radar. The normal radar that we see here is the Positron N019 Robin radar, similar to 80 kilometers of range in general, better than the F-16A, worse or similar to the F-15 depending on the variant of the F-15 and depending on the variant of the MiG-29. So close to 100 kilometers of range, very capable radar. engines are the RD-33. It has a very similar thing about in fly-by-wire systems. It doesn't have a proper fly-by-wire, but it is very similar to that. Being basically 70s design. Entered in service officially was in the 80s, but the first batches were rolled out in 1979. So yeah, even though the official production is 1982, but there were a couple of things about intelligence that they did to actually mask some stuff, and they actually were going to be rolled out in 1979. So this is the normal idea behind the aircraft. You know, the RD-33. It is a very capable missile. Together, two engines would produce basically 160 thousand kilo. It's 16,000 kilograms of force, so 160 kilonewtons or something like that. So very, very capable. 330 meters per second of climb rate, and a very, very good and very large 9G limit for operational limits. So comparable to 6 point somethings about the F14s, F6.8, and 8Gs of the F18s. It is very, very, very capable. Probably the aircraft that will stomp everything on the dogfight, even an F5 or a J7, to be honest. Everything. It's just a very, very, very capable aircraft. And that's the reason why I don't think this should be added yet. I think this would be too OP to fight against the F14, but we don't know exactly. So we have many variants. As I said, the development and the prototype versions were made by the dozens. You know, there were a lot of versions early. Then the prototypes versions and stuff like that they tested a lot of radars and a lot of missiles and a lot of things. So, but we're going to skip that. We're going to talk about the main variants, okay? The main that were actually produced, and technically one version. There were a lot of, I mean, little versions, you know. There's one version, for example, that it's just for North Korean 913Bs versions that were made only for North Korea and stuff like that. But we're not gonna talk too much about it. Just remember that the A and the S they had a lot of export versions, okay? But the main versions for the Soviets and the Germans, okay? So yeah, let's get into it. So we have basically the A's, the S, the M, the K, and the SMT. These are the variants. So the A, the S, the SMT, the M, and the K. So 5 variants are the main variants. But inside those, we have multiple minor versions. So let's talk about the A first. So the A was the first variant that was added. Internally, they had another names, you know. So here is the 912. So the A has the 912, the 912A, the 912B, and the 913. These are all A's, you know. And these are the first variants. So 1979 is the 912, the first variant. It has all the things that I already talked about it, but the main armament is obviously 6 missiles, being 4 IR and 2 radar or IR, depending if you like to use the R27R or T. But normally 6 missiles with 2 R27s and 4 R60s. You could have 6 R60s if you want to, but there's no reason for that. Obviously, fully pulse Doppler radar with multiple modes of high PFR, medium PFR, even some modes for SP free search, which would be a high PFR for high dense ECM environments to actually counter the countermeasures. Many tracking modes, obviously, for short range stuff. So, you know, he has the helmet mounted stuff and vertical scan tracking mode, and you know, all those modes that the F14 has and stuff like that. Has track while flyby, or basically a track while scan mode, which uses the high PFR, and some automatic modes as well to optimal performance for the range to use until 100 kilometers. So yeah, very good. The detection was close to 80 kilometers of fighter size. For more advanced bombers and stuff like that, it would be better than that, but still. So yeah, very good missiles, as I said. First variant, Berioza RWR, very good RWR, has very limited FCS systems and stuff like that. 26 degrees of AOA, only 60 chaffs and flares with the BVP 3025 26M system. As I said, helmet mounted sight, 330 meters per second of climb rate. Obviously has the RST with around 15 kilometers of range of tracking range. The detection is a lot higher, but the tracking range is there. So yeah, 30 millimeters, 150 rounds, not a lot, but very good height. I mean RPM, basically 1,600 rounds per minute for a 30 millimeters of that size is pretty good. And yeah, basically the main problems with it is that it can only carry 6 missiles, have a very low ammo count, but anything else is just, and basically comparable to other aircraft like the F-15, for example, it can have a low range. Okay, so this would be the first variant. This already is way too OP for this game, I think, but still a very good version. Not the version that I want in War Thunder initially for the Soviets. But yeah, let's talk about other version. That was basically the 912A, which is close allies, basically export version. So Poland and all the pact basically countries could buy them. And this is the version that the Germans should receive. Okay, it has the 9019, the N019EA Rubin radar, which is a little bit less of a powerful radar, but only in the sense that it doesn't have the free search mode, which limits the ECCM capability, which means a less countermeasure capability. We don't have ECM right now in the game, so it doesn't mean anything basically. Anything else is basically the same. It has obviously older IFF transponders, older navigation systems, but it's still equipped with the helmet-mounted sights. Still has the R27s, the R60s, and the ability to carry the R73. They started production in 1988, so yeah, it's very fun that they actually made this aircraft 10 years basically later than the other versions. I mean, they were producing even the MiG-29M by the time that this version was sold to East Germany. So yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, East Germany used, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Romania used them. Very good aircraft. As I said, basically the same as before, but with a little bit less of a capable radar, but doesn't mean much in game, we have another version of the 912 MiG-29, which is the B, also known as the MiG-29B, but it is an A version, but 912B, which is made for less trusted countries than the Pact for export. So basically, it was a way to get money. Basically, it's a very good selling point that a MiG-29 can be sold for any country, and a lot of countries use this. That's why I think this version should be event vehicle or a premium vehicle in the far future. Not right now, obviously, but in the far future, it is a very good aircraft for that. India received it, Iraq, Iran, Syria, North Korea, Cuba, Malaysia, Myanmar, and Eritrea. So a lot of countries, and it was used in the Iraq during the Iraq-Iran war in 1988. So pretty interesting. It has only the capabilities of using the R60MK and the R27R1, which are exported versions of the R60 and the R27. It doesn't even have the R27T. So yeah, still has IRST, obviously, has a even more limited version of the Rubin radar, the 9019. So yeah, very limited, but very good, and I think this should be added as a premium or basically it has less digital processors and stuff like that, but was supposed to be used as a event vehicle or a premium or something like that. Everything else is the same performance, everything is the same. It's just that the radar is very limited compared to the other versions, and basically that, you know. Obviously, all those versions have CAS, but they are only non-guided. So 5250s, M62s, 500s, M62s, the ZAB 500 napalm bomb, S24s, S8 rockets, and yeah, basically those type of non-guided stuff, you know. But it has CCIP, CCRP, everything like that with the help of the radar. Okay, Yugoslavia even used this version, the 912B. So yeah, other aircraft that are normally called the MiG-29G. It is just a normal 912A. Okay, so remember when you see the 9G, the 29G is the normal 912 that the Germans had. It's just the same aircraft, but it has some levels of service life enhancements and IFF transponders from the Western NATO standards, VHF and UHF radios, emergency radios, TACANs, everything like that. GPS receivers was from NATO standards. Basically, was made after '93, after Germany reunified. Same missiles, you know. But they normally didn't have the capability of using the R-27Ts because they didn't buy any. So this would be another, you know, another thing about the German MiG-29 is just that you will have this limitation of not being able to carry the R-27 if they if they want to just limit a little bit to make it so that it's different from the Russian one. So yeah, pretty good, pretty fun, but it is basically the same aircraft. I don't think this should be an aircraft added. It's just a skin basically in game because the changes are not, you know, doesn't change anything in proper game, you know. But it is just a skin. Probably we will receive the 912A for the Germans with a GDR skin and a Luftwaffe skin with buying behind a paywall maybe or something like that. Yeah, but let's talk about the 913, the last version of the MiG-29A. So this would be the first version that I think the Soviets will receive. It is basically the same aircraft, but it has two main differences and another minor one, but two main differences. The first one is more range. So it is known as the fatback or the hunchback, which basically it is a version that has more range, more fuel in the back, in the fin of the aircraft, which makes it so that it has even 3,000 kilometers of range with drop tanks, with three drop tanks and ferry range, you know, kind of situation with a limited speed and stuff, but still. So very, very good range. Trying to help a little bit the MiG-29 with one of its weaknesses, which is the low range of the aircraft. But yeah, pretty good. And another thing is that it has a comprehensive ECM internally. So it has ECM internal in the internal systems of the aircraft. We don't have that yet in game, but we've received some kind of system in ECM. This aircraft would have the ability to use the ECM without having to carry a pod like a MiG-21 or the MiG-23 even with the SPS-141 pod that we already saw in game in the SMT, for example, or the MiG-21MF. So yeah, pretty good. And the other minor thing is that it can carry more bombs. It can carry 6 FAB 500s and even KMGU-2 submunitions anti-tank bomblets, but I don't think we should receive that, or we will receive that. But this is the main variant that I think the Soviets will receive. Still, 1984, basically 1984, 1986. But yeah, and they were employed in East Germany for the Soviet Air Force, but inside the Eastern Germany. So it is very interesting that we receive that. We shall receive that. So yeah, just a more range ECM, basically the same aircraft, and basically the same radar, same performance, same everything. Obviously, if you use more fuel, you will be heavier. So there is that technically, if you use full tanks, The 913 will be worse in performance as the 912, but it's just a matter of burning fuel, you know. So yeah. And this is the version that North Korea had for only them. An export variant of this aircraft without the ECM was made, and with a different IFF system to be met to the North Korean exporting needs, you know, so also known as the 913B, but only for the North Koreans. Okay, so yeah, these are the A variants. So I think the 912A should be gone for the Germans, the 912B in the far future as an event or premium vehicle. In the far future, when we get to the 90s, this could be a thing. And the 913, which is the last A variant, middle of the 80s, kind of still early 80s, but still version. Okay, so after that, in the early 80s, in the late 80s, I mean, they decided to actually make a change on the MiG-29A, the 913, and they made the 913S. So this is the first variant that it's called actually MiG-29S. So basically the advantages of this would be to use the new Topaz radar, the 9019, the N019M Topaz radar instead of the Rubin radar, which has some capabilities of carrying R-77s, which are Fox 3 missiles, R-27ERs, which are the extended version, range version of the R-27R, and the R-27ET. Obviously, these are the main reason. This is the main reason why the 29S exists. So better radar for better missiles. Okay, so this is a kind of a middle life of the MiG-29. The same resistance was better. The internal systems of flight controls were improved as well, making it being able to carry up to 28 degrees of AOA. And the maximum takeoff weight was increased to 4,000 kilograms, so permitting that it can carry 4 Fab 500s M62s, and you know, all the other digital processing systems, all the other navigation systems that an upgrade version of an aircraft will receive. You know, everything else is the same. The engines, everything else is just the same. As I said, R77, 25 to 30 degrees of G's. You know, active missile like the Phoenix, but with a better turning and lower range. R27ERs and stuff like that. This could be a version that we can receive as well, to have a better radar than the German ones. But I don't know. I think it's too advanced for now. And I think we should just maybe jump for another version first. But still, it is a version that we should receive in the future, maybe. And yeah, it has all the same stuff, you know. Still the same flare system, but the main thing is the radar. Okay, radar is better, avionics is a little bit better, automatic flight systems a little bit better. Okay, and they also did some upgrades for the 912s. They call the 912Ss, which are just upgrades for the A's to become S's, you know, for new radars and stuff like that. SD variant, another version for third world countries and stuff like that, with the 912S in mind, you know. So yeah, AS variant, Slovak revival, you know, the Slovakian actually changed it, some of the systems. But yeah, all those exported versions, I really don't think we should receive it. You know, it's just more of the same, or for other countries, you know, it doesn't change the fact that we need more for the Soviets and the Germans, because there's no other nation that we have in wartime that use these aircraft. So let's just recap a little bit. 912A for the Germans, 913 for the Soviets, maybe the 913S in the futures for the Soviets as well. Weapons being the R-27, R-60s initially, maybe the R-73 in the far future, maybe if we get the 913S for the Soviets, we can receive stuff like the R-77 and R-27ER. And beginning on the late 80s, you know, they built 6 prototypes of this. We have the 915, also known as the MiG-29M. This is the first modernization of the aircraft. Very, very modernized version, you know. The engines could go up to 94 kilonewtons each, so almost 19 kilonewtons of force together with the RD33K. Very strong engine, amazing engine, Jesus Christ. Being able to the climb rate to be increased to 335 meters per second. Some structural changes were occurring, you know, lithium alloy was welded instead of riveted in some of the fuselage structures. Um, some of the changes inside being able to make the aircraft having a limit of 30 degrees of AOA, so very, very capable. I mean, it's just amazing, amazing, amazing. The air brake was changed, replaced by one-piece style, borrowed from the Su-27, so it's a different air brake. The other ones had on the back between the engines. This one was on the back on the fin. So very, very, very capable aircraft. But the first thing, the main thing about this aircraft, uh, obviously can do more dogfighting, and especially with the new engine and stuff. But the main thing and the most exciting thing about this aircraft, it has the Positron N010 Zook phased array radar. So it's a PESA radar, very capable, very OP to be honest, because the Americans they have the AESA radar, but I don't remember when they were adding these type of radars into their aircraft. But still, this is just a tiny version of the MiG-31 radar, so very, very, I don't know it's exactly that, but it's basically the same system, it's what I'm saying. So a very capable radar, instantaneous detection up to 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers. So yeah, it's just amazing, amazing, amazing. 90 degrees of azimuth, can turn the radar, tilting, everything else. The other radars did that too, but still. Another changes, or obviously to the IRST, very good IRST, better version, more range, more detection, everything else. Another thing that it can do is actually map the ground and be used as a ground radar. Very capable on doing that. It can also use TV guided stuff or laser guided stuff, like the KH-29s, 25s, Cab 500s, anything like that. Very capable on doing that. So it is the first aircraft that the MiG-29s that is really multi-role, you know. The other ones just used normal dumb bombs and rockets. So this is one of the good things. Inertial system was enhanced. New HUD, a multicolor, multifunction monochrome displays. So it is not the advanced stuff that we have in the 21st century, obviously, but still, it's amazing. Better IFFs, better everything. This aircraft was completely changed. One of the main things about this aircraft also was two other things. The exchange from the BVP 30 to the BVP 6026 flares and chaff dispensers, which combined could carry 120 chaffs and flares, so very good on that. And the capabilities of carrying 8 missiles, so it has 2 more pylons. So that means that it's just the most amazing version that the MiG-29 had. You know, it was amazing, amazing. It was technically a 4 plus generation fighter, very, very capable. And after 1,000 test flights and 6 prototypes, it was recommended for production, but the government just collapsed in '91, so they limited. And anyway, you know what that happened there. So yeah, just remember, it's all around a better version. To be honest, this version I really want to see in War Thunder, but I don't know if it's going to be added because it was just in the prototype version, you know, in the prototype thing. It can even carry anti-ship missiles and seed capability it's the perfect MiG-29. It even had at the M1, M2, and M3 versions, which would have the IFR or in-flight refueling probe, or larger fuel tanks, and enhanced capabilities of turning because of it increased area wings and stuff like that. So it is just very capable. And also after that we will see they made the MiG-29K, which is the 931 or 941 depending on the date of the aircraft, which is basically a MiG-29M, but it's a fine-tuned MiG engine to prepare it to make sure that it can uh, take off from carriers. So it's a MiG-29 that is carrier capable. So very capable, very good, amazing aircraft. I mean, this has the most amazing skin ever, and it is in service technically with the 941 version, I think, uh, which is the Indian Navy actually began operating them in 2009, and the Russians actually are operating them as well, I think. But yeah, they're just amazing, and yeah, we can have two variants of it. The early 80s variant of course would be the same as the M, so I don't know about that, but it is basically the same variant, as the M, but with a different engine. Same radar, same everything. It's just the same aircraft, but able to land on a carrier and stuff like that. Better gears and arrestor gears and stuff like that. And obviously the engines are different. But we can see also the latest variant, the 2000 something variant, which is the 941, which has all the new modern toys of the Russians. So the R77Ms, the R74Ms, the R77-1, R77M, and the new Zuk ME radar. So a better version of it with a maximum detection range of 120 kilometers. So this would be a very late version of the aircraft, comparable to an F-16C Block 50, Rafale C variant, Mirage 2000C maybe, a Gripen, E or something like that. Very new, very new. And the last variant, and the last version that we might see in War Thunder before the MiG-35, it is the SMT, which is the 917 or 918, which is basically just an improved version of the S that was already produced. So it was a mid-life upgrade, a MLU, if you want to call it like that, after the 29's M basically cancellation. So it still has the Topaz radar as the normal S version, the 913S, but it has a ground mapping capabilities, and it has data link and stuff like that. So it is just a very good addition. Actually, I think this should be added. Maybe if maybe we should receive like a version like the 913, and after that the SMT, and after that the M version, for example, and after that the MiG-35. I don't know. Together with the MiG-29K coming under the Yak-38, maybe after the Yak-41 or something like that. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But it is just an upgrade, midlife upgrade for the 913 version. So as I said, a little bit of a better radar. It's not PESA or anything like that, but it is pulse Doppler, very good radar, ground mapping and stuff like that. Data link. It can carry TV guided stuff as well, like TV guided missiles and bombs and stuff like that. Anti-ship stuff also, if I'm not mistaken. So it is just a very modern version. Has some new hardpoints as well. Has four in each wing instead of three, so 8 on total instead of 6. So it is just same loadouts as the MiG-29M, but it doesn't have the capabilities of the M. The M is just completely better than this. But yeah, very good. This is the 917 version, but they actually, it's basically the same. As I said, it's an S with better radar, better data link and stuff like that, uh, being able to carry more missiles, but with more fuel, has the larger uh, back, you know, and it has a new multifunction display, so new avionics and stuff like that. And after a while, there's another version, the SMT2, or called the 918, which has the new positron and 010 Zook ME radar, phased radar, which is basically the same PESA radar as the MiG-29K. So yeah, and I think it's the same radar as the MiG-35, I think. So it is just a very capable radar, To be honest, as I said, I think I'm going to put it on the screen on how these things should be added. I think, as I said, 913 would be the first one. Maybe the SMT as the second one with the normal the 917, not the 918. And after that, the M version, or even the SMT2. I don't know, but still some version like that. And yeah, and the case, obviously, if one or two are added, I think just one is alright. Maybe they can use the upgrade systems as on tanks. For example, you get the SMT 917 and you can upgrade it to the 918, and it changes just the radar, and this is the PESA radar and stuff like that, as an upgrade on the system there. The K can be like that as well, having the better radar and stuff like that with the KR, with the better version of it. But are the versions of the MiG-29. We have the MiG-35, which is just better in everything, but we are too far from that, and it's just one variant and stuff. Basically one variant. I mean, there's two places and stuff like that, but that's the ultimate versions of it. So let's just recap a little bit. So for Germany, obviously the 912A, and that's basically it. R60Ms, R27s. For the Soviets, the 913, maybe the 913S, the MiG-29S, After that, the MiG-29 SMT, in my opinion, the first one, the 917. And after that, in the Soviet Tech Tree, in the Air Force, the Mikoyan Tech Tree, we can receive the MiG-29M, which is the best version. If it's added at all, if not the MiG-35, maybe in the far future, I'm thinking 2 years from now, but still. And the MiG-29K after the Yak-41, maybe after the Yak-38. And this would be the main MiGs. Remember, all these variants have the same armament, but they improve it with the radars and stuff like that. And the 80s and the 90s especially were very problematic in some areas, with the Soviet economy being the becoming the Russian economy. So yeah, but it is a very amazing aircraft that is very close to being added, and I hope you enjoyed. And I see you guys on the next one. I hope you enjoyed. Bye, guys.